So here we are in the River Deveron. Guy fishing there is a guy I've just went down to see, and his name's Richard, and he's a really experienced rod, Richard. And I just poked my head over the bank when I arrived in the river here to find him playing this really strong fish. And you see that it's Wednesday, and this, in actual fact, when he lands it, is his 20th fish of the week, or certainly the 20th fish for the party for the week. The River Deveron's a cracking little river, and you can see that it's not very big, it's not very wide. It's probably at its widest points maybe 100 feet wide at its widest points, but it's a deep little river. It's a lovely streamy little river in a lot of places, and it's slow and meandering, almost tweed like in others. To be quite honest, the whole river itself is very tweed like, but in a miniature scale. I've often felt that, and that includes the run of fish that actually comes into the river, because unlike the Spey, the main run of fish that comes into the Deveron is a back end run. Most of the fish come in probably around early to mid-September, and the best part of the run is right at the end of September into October, and it can actually fish really well all the way right through to the end of October. And as you'll see at the end of this clip here, the fish and the quality of the fish that you get on this river at this time are fantastic. Couple that with fishing with a relatively small rod, although I don't actually recommend such a small rod, because as you'll see at the end of this clip, where you can catch really big fish, and okay, the fish are not as big as they used to be in the past, but nevertheless the record UK fly caught salmon, that is a salmon that was being caught on a fly, was actually caught on the beat just below this beat here. This is a beat called Dunlugas. The beat below is a beat called Mountblairy, and that was caught in 1924 by another woman, Miss Tina Morrison. It was caught in the Wood of Shaws pool, and it was £61 when it was weighed. 61, can you imagine? A £61 monster, a huge salmon. But nevertheless, that was a salmon that came out of this river, and it is, and still to this day, is the largest fly caught salmon in the UK. In fact, a lot of people think that that particular fish was a fish that beat the record fish, which was caught 2 years earlier by Miss Ballintyne on the Tay. It was £64. This fish was actually caught on a Friday and wasn't weighed until the Monday, and many people think that it would have been a fish that would have lost a few pounds. But here it goes anyway, and we'll look at that beautiful fish, back end fish. It's the first day of October here, and look at that absolute perler, like a springer. And here we are now, a little further upstream, a little beat called Turtery. Fishing is a really good pal of mine. Sandy Lawton is a great fly fisherman. He's come up to Turtery for the day from his hometown just south of Edinburgh. A long drive, but the river really is worth it when you catch it in good order. And Sandy's into his first Deveron fish here. A nice little fish it was as well, around £6. The month is August here, it's August 2010. And the river's running a little coloured, but not too coloured to catch fish with a fly. So the beat here at Turtery would be classed as an upper middle beat. It's a beat that is a right hand beat. It's a 2-rod beat, and one that I really enjoy fishing because it's so secluded. And Sandy here's fairly enjoying his first day on the Deveron. I think he had about maybe 15 or 16 casts in the top pool and hooked into this one straight away. But if you look at the river itself, you look at the colour of the river, it's very typical of the colour after a sort of summer flood, you know. The summer floods tend to be really quite filthy because we've had generally low water for some time, and then suddenly you get a flood. It takes all the rubbish and debris into the river. It's just fining back from that just right now. The fly that Sandy's used today is a is a little fly called a Rosie, a fly that I tie that I've used in the Deveron in this conditions for a long time. It's a little bright sort of variation of the Gary dog tied on a silver hook, but he's a happy bunny to get his first Deveron salmon anyway. I think we'll just pop that one straight back into the water after we get a photograph of it, Sandy. So there it is then, first fish from the River Deveron. And I think by the look in his face it was well worth the drive up from south of Edinburgh. So after a round trip of around 3,000 miles, our Atlantic salmon, you can see the gills just beginning to breathe again after that hard fight. He's slipped back into the river to hopefully continue and make the spawning grounds where he will reproduce and his offspring will return back to the river in 2 or 3 years more time, hopefully to provide sport for us all in the future.